Welcome back into Occupy Democrats, and it's important in this breaking story to know when you're being played, because the playbook for Donald Trump and also Elon Musk is make sure that you deny, denigrate, diffuse, and most importantly in this story, distract. And if you recall The Wizard of Oz, pay no attention to the man behind the curtain. Understand there is a massively frightening story that you have to hear today that Elon Musk is doing, and he's doing it with the help of Donald Trump. And it is much bigger than anything you can possibly imagine. It puts everything, and I mean everything, that we currently face in the news in the last 7 months to shame. And I'm going to show that story to you in just a few seconds. Let's remember what Musk did at the behest of Donald Trump in terms of Doge. The
greatest theft of personal data in U.S. history. That's how our next guest is describing the extent to which Donald Trump and Elon Musk's so-called Department of Government Efficiency have recklessly compromised the data of millions of Americans.
Because this should frighten you.
The Numerical Identification System database contains the name, place, and date of birth, citizenship, race, and ethnicity, and parents' names of all individuals who've been issued a Social Security number.
And bear in mind, it isn't just here, it's also the UK.
Humza Yousaf of the Scottish National Party was First Minister of Scotland and its leader until he resigned in May last year. He was also, as I reminded him this afternoon, one of the very first politicians to raise the prospect of Elon Musk interfering in British politics.
I said that he was, in my view, one of the most dangerous men on the planet.
And this gets even worse.
A new whistleblower complaint filed by Social Security Administration Chief Data Officer Charles Borges alleges that Doge workers violated the law in copying the Social Security data of more than 300 million Americans to an unsecured cloud system, which only they control, that, quote, apparently lacks any security oversight from the Social Security Administration or tracking.
And what this man said is 1,000,000,000% correct in this breaking story.
Absolutely everything that he has done since then, he's not only used his billions to muscle his way into what was arguably the most powerful office in the entire world,
to determine who's accessing or has accessed the copy of this data. These actions constitute violations of laws, rules and regulations, abuse of authority, gross mismanagement, and creation of substantial and specific threat to public safety.
He's now, quite incredibly, trying to overthrow the democratically elected Prime Minister of the UK and subvert democracy. It is astonishing, and that's why actually we have to confront Elon Musk, not just pander to him.
Can you imagine having no control of information, or more notably, turning that entire control over to one private person and one private citizen? And that may be why you heard Donald Trump say, hey, if you just vote in this election, you'll never have to worry about it again. Because Elon Musk is trying to take over the world, and Donald Trump is helping him. This is not a joke. This is a severe warning. Take a listen to this story all the way through right here.
Elon Musk's latest power grab points in a clear direction. His SpaceX deal could fundamentally alter the relationship between a state and its citizens. This month, the British king and the American president, clothed in medals and white tie, respectively, met in Windsor Castle, while billionaire Elon Musk quietly executed the most consequential infrastructure deal of the decade, SpaceX's $17 billion acquisition of telecom company EchoStar's spectrum rights. This wasn't just another corporate transaction. It was a power grab that could fundamentally alter the relationship between a state and its citizens. Unless governments recognize the implications and evolve in response, they risk becoming Potemkin powers. The spectrum Musk bought enables something unprecedented: direct satellite to smartphone connectivity without any terrestrial infrastructure. We're not there yet, but the direction is clear. For the first time, a private company will be able to provide global communication services that bypass national networks, government oversight, and geographic boundaries. Earlier versions of satellite phones needed line of sight to the satellite. They required bulky terminals or modified devices. EchoStar's spectrum, by contrast, operates in frequencies that can penetrate buildings and work with standard smartphone antennas. It allows direct communication with the billions of phones already in people's pockets. More critically, SpaceX now controls enough spectrum to offer commercial-grade mobile services globally, and the company is positioning itself to replace every other mobile operator with a service that operates entirely beyond national jurisdiction. Since the printing press and the telegraph, governments have controlled communications within their territories, licensing operators, monitoring networks, and regulating content through the physical systems that carry information. This control has enabled everything from wartime censorship to modern content moderation, from emergency broadcast to surveillance programs. SpaceX is breaking this model. When citizens can communicate through networks that operate from international space, traditional regulatory tools become obsolete. Britain's Online Safety Act, for example, requires platforms to remove harmful content and cooperate with regulators. But how do you enforce compliance when platforms can route traffic through orbital networks that bypass British infrastructure entirely? This isn't just about communications. Combine unrestricted communications with borderless payments, and you have an infrastructure that allows for what economists call accelerated regulatory arbitrage, the ability to shop for the most favorable legal environment regardless of your physical location. Why accept your government speech restrictions when satellites give you an opt-out? Why use your national currency when you can transact in global digital assets? The state's traditional monopolies on information control and monetary policy erode simultaneously. Musk's Starlink satellite network in Ukraine provides a preview of this new dynamic. Within days of Russia's February 2022 full-scale invasion, SpaceX activated satellite internet across Ukraine, providing communications capabilities that proved crucial for military coordination. Ukrainian forces used Starlink to guide drone strikes, coordinate artillery, and maintain command structures, even as ground networks were destroyed. That's not traditional military aid, it's private infrastructure responding to corporate calculations, creating military capabilities that no government authorized or fully controls. This $17 billion purchase isn't about competing in a market, it's about shaping the market itself. With exclusive spectrum rights for direct-to-phone connectivity, SpaceX can dictate terms to device manufacturers, telecommunications companies, and ultimately governments. Consider the leverage. Need satellite connectivity for emergency services? SpaceX sets the terms. Want to ensure that your military has secure communications? Better maintain good relations with Musk, hoping to regulate platform content, not if the platforms route through Starlink. In response, states aren't entirely powerless, but until rivals are operational, their options are limited and costly. They could negotiate access agreements accepting subordinate status, governing by permission of private infrastructure owners, and accept the loss of sovereignty that implies. The question isn't whether this transformation can be stopped, but whether governments can evolve to maintain meaningful control over the forces reshaping collective life. Power has shifted to the heavens, and unless they grasp the change, governments will be left on the ground as every new launch and line of code makes it harder for them to reach the stars.
For those of you old enough to remember when Ronald Reagan started talking about Star Wars way back in the mid-'80s, and people laughed, said it was impossible, too expensive. Well, it was then. That was 40 years ago. Today, it isn't. And this isn't Star Wars. This would be literally the metaphorical Star Wars empire being Donald Trump and Elon Musk and controlling absolutely everything. Please don't let this story go. This is incredibly important. Stay on top of it and stay frosty.